All right, so after watching Kyoji Horiguchi's absolute masterclass this past weekend over Amir Oblasi and Mario Bautista's absolute masterclass over Vinicius Oliveira, it kind of got me thinking, okay, what if the UFC just took away all logic, which is a very, very low bar, all right, and just put together the absolute most banger of a title fight you could have, the most entertaining title fights with the current champion. So that's what I'm going to do, starting off with the flyweight division. Someone who I just mentioned, Kyoji Horiguchi versus Joshua Van. That would be absolute fireworks. Kyoji Horiguchi is on this run where he could probably fight for the belt right now, and it would be so entertaining. He's previously fought in the UFC. He is not going to take Van down. Van is an absolute scrapper. Van will drag you into a war. He's going to make you fight, and Horiguchi will do that. He is got the speed to match Van. He's got the boxing to match Van. He's got the stand-up to match Van. Van has probably the power advantage, but Van is just a scrapper. He's got a good chin. And that's the thing. Just because it's a stand-up doesn't mean if it's a ground fight or fighters can wrestle or if they have good BJJ, it's not any less entertaining. But I think for two flyweights, you really want to see an even level match where they both stand up. Like Pantoja, he is a very entertaining fighter, but I think he's just so dominant. He's kind of like the Islam, where they have good stand-up, but they're primarily on the ground. So it's like, and they're just so fucking dominant it's hard to match up an entertaining style or an entertaining fight for these just dominant ground game. Like who is really an entertaining fight for Pantoja when he was the champion? It probably would have been Van if that fight had played out more, because Van is just a scrapper. And I know you had Brandon Royval, but we just saw that Van versus Royval, and that was probably fight of the year in my opinion, or at least top 3 fight of the year. But I think for new blood, Horiguchi has proved himself to be one of the most entertaining fighters. He came in absolutely fucking shredded to Gear Ulanbekov. Like that head kick, that was one of the nastiest head kicks I've ever heard. Like you can hear that shit. It's not like he fucking cracked his jaw. Like it was so gross. Coming in, doing that to someone who trains with Khabib, a top 10 guy, then coming in, taking on Albazi, who's another top 10 guy, top 5 guy, and absolutely fucking dominating him. He mogged him. That was one of the most lopsided fights I've seen in a while. Albazi had like 25 combined significant strikes in 3 rounds. Horiguchi was at like 100. Like he's coming in, dominating these top 10 guys. Van, who you can't really say Van is unproven, because obviously he's the fucking champion. But we haven't seen him really proven against. Like the Royval fight was crazy, but that's really been his only test so far. So I think you get someone like Horiguchi who could just speed mog him, but Van will stand there and fucking fight back. Like that's an absolute banger. It's hard to really make banger fights in the not lower, but flyweight division, just because you're not really gonna see any crazy knockouts. You're not gonna see, they're very well rounded, but you're just not gonna see. Not to say much action, but if you had Horiguchi versus Van, you will see like that is just going to be a fucking absolute banger. That would be I don't know if anyone gets a finish, but it would just be a war for 5 rounds, and it would just be must-see TV. Moving on to the bantamweight division, we got a rematch, because if you go down the list of the bantamweight division against, I'm fucking blanking right now, the champion, Petr Yan, Merab, they both 50-45 each other. The last fight where Yan won the belt back from Merab, it was entertaining. It was entertaining, though, because of how dominant Yan won it. And it was because of how dominant Merab was looking that's what made it entertaining. Like, he was putting belt to ass against Merab. Yan was. But it really wasn't a scrap. Merab really didn't do much that entire fight, except just get his ass beat. So it was entertaining seeing someone so dominant get his ass beat after he beat Yan 50-45. Yan comes back, 50-45's him. Maybe they just meet in the middle and it's a fucking war for the trilogy. But I think there's just one outlier, and it's not Umar. I'm sorry. Like, it would be a good fight, but I don't know if it would be the most entertaining title fight to make with Yan. And the most obvious fight you can make to be the most entertaining fight is Sean O'Malley. Like, everyone's calling for the rematch. Not everyone, but people want to see that rematch. They were calling for it before Jan was the champion. It was such a close fight. People still say Jan got robbed, that O'Malley didn't deserve that win. He didn't win that. It was just very, very close. Jan obviously has the ground game, but he has the stand-up. He is one of the best boxers. He has some of the best stand-up game in the UFC. O'Malley, obviously one of the best strikers in the UFC, top 5, top 6 striker in the UFC. So is Petr Yan. And O'Malley has just gotten, and he has shown he has gotten that much better at the ground game. Like stopping the takedowns, preventing the takedowns, getting up from the takedowns. And he fought fucking Merab. I'm sorry, but Merab's takedowns, him spamming takedowns, him holding Sean O'Malley down, Jan's just not going to do that. So if O'Malley can escape some of the takedowns and kind of maneuver around the takedowns of Merab against Jan, they have obviously both gotten so much better from their first fight. It would be probably so much closer, even though Jan just mogged the fuck out of Merab, who was so dominant. I really think Sean O'Malley's striking it's obviously that good, but Merab's striking was nowhere near O'Malley's. Like, Jan kept it standing against Merab. O'Malley will keep it standing, obviously, against Jan. So, in a primarily striking battle, when both fighters have gotten so much better, it's just going to be an absolute scrap. You saw the significant strike. You saw the power hit from Jan. You saw the fucking crazy hit Sean O'Malley did. I really think this is the fight to make after. I mean, you would like to see Sean O'Malley get one more win. Same with Umar. Like, you don't want them, if you're the UFC, you don't want Umar and Sean O'Malley to fight each other. You just don't. But you obviously want, if Jan beats Merab again, you want Jan versus O'Malley too. Like, that is the most entertaining. It's got, like, the beef behind it. You've got, the UFC wants the American champion. O'Malley is one of the highest ranked American fighters out there right now. They obviously love O'Malley. They want O'Malley to be a champion. And this would be an absolute fucking banger because of how close the first one is and how much better both fighters have gotten since the first fight. Moving on to the featherweight division. This is kind of crazy because I don't believe it's Movsar. Obviously, he's a unanimous decision king. I don't think it's Lerone Murphy. Like, call me crazy. I know, another unanimous decision machine. I think it's Gene Silva. Like, I know people don't like him. They don't like his fucking barking. They don't like his personality. Whatever. But if you're talking fight style, I really think Gene Silva versus Volkanovski is the most entertaining fight you can make. Diego Lopez, before we even saw the Lopez fights, maybe you say that. Just because Lopez he's a blockhead, he's a brawler. He will try to make it a scrap. But he has just, and he has submissions. He has a ground game if Volk took him to the ground. But Volk has so much, obviously, higher IQ now that we've saw 2 title fights play out between Lopez and Volk. I think Gene Silva versus Volk, I think Silva is I'm not going to say a lot better of a fighter than Lopez because obviously he lost to Lopez. It was a fluke fucking KO. All right? That's what we're going to say. But I think Silva could drag Volk more into a dogfight, if that makes sense. Maybe it doesn't, but I just see they're more similar in stature, and I really could see Lopez being more aggressive and dragging Volk into more of a fight than Lopez did, which I don't really know like I said, didn't know what Lopez's fucking game plan was. Clearly he wasn't battling the outside foot battle, but I think Lopez is probably a smarter fighter, or not Lopez, Silva's a smarter fighter than Lopez, and he has the submission, he has the ground game. He can drag Volk into a dogfight. If Volk's sitting there on the outside trying to play high IQ, I really think Silva would just be like, fuck it, and he'll just go for it. We obviously didn't see that from Lopez in 2 fights. And who else in the division is really going to make it entertaining? Like, Silva is the nightmare matchup for Volk. But if Lopez lost to Silva, people were calling that Silva was just going to take Volk's head. Like, that was a fucking nightmare matchup for Volk. And it still might be. But I really think Silva versus Volkanovski would be such an entertaining fight, especially when you look at the other fighters in the division. It's pretty fucking ass. Aljamain Sterling we ain't trying to see that bullshit. So I really think Silva is the fight to make. Moving on to the lightweight division. It's a fight we've already saw. And you go down the list. I know that's crazy, but it's got to be Max Holloway. It's got to be. I'm sorry, but Arman's right there. We obviously haven't seen Arman versus Ilya. People say Ilya's ducking. But the most entertaining, if you're going to sit here and tell me that Arman versus Ilya is going to be more entertaining than Max Holloway and Ilya, you're crazy. That fight, when they fought, Max versus Ilya, that was one of the best fights, one of the best scraps of the year. You got 2 top 5, top 3 strikers in the UFC. I don't care about the ground game. They're not going to take it to the ground. Like, Arman's ground and pound. It would be entertaining to see what Ilya does against Arman's offense. But I think if you're just taking straight 2 styles, Max is obviously not going to take down Ilya. Ilya will obviously not take down Max. We saw how the first fight went. It was a fucking dogfight. And Ilya knocked Max out. The first time Max has ever been knocked out. It was a scrap. And I think at lightweight, Max has a way better significant chance to win than when it was at featherweight. Max has just shown he can compete at both divisions. And he almost, I'm not going to say almost won, but it was Ilya's toughest fight. And if you're just adding on 10 more pounds, moving it up a weight class, that just makes it that much more dangerous for Ilya against someone like Max Holloway, who is, the quote-unquote best boxer in the UFC, someone who will take it to Ilya, who has range on Ilya, who will bring Ilya into a fucking scrap, okay? It's just, can Max's chin last? It's literally what it is against Ilya. Will your chin last against fucking Ilya? So far, no one's chin has obviously lasted. So I really think it's Max versus Ilya 2 would be so much more entertaining than Arman versus Ilya. I'm not saying Arman versus Ilya is not entertaining because no one has really tested Ilya's ground game like that, as Ilya's been the champ so far. So I think Max versus Ilya is obviously just 10 times better. The pocket, the scrapping, it would just be so fucking entertaining. Someone is getting knocked out. Whether that be Max knocking out Ilya or Ilya knocking out Max again, it would just be absolute fucking fireworks. All right, moving on to the welterweight division. This is another tough one because you have Islam, okay, who is just so fucking dominant. And obviously, if you're stripping everything, the most entertaining fight you could probably make in the UFC is Islam versus Ilya. But that's just too far gone right now. So in the welterweight division, it's the best division in the UFC. It's loaded with fucking talent, loaded with killers. And that's the thing. Islam just probably fucking mogs and destroys all of them. So it's hard to put who is entertaining against Islam. Like, who would be entertaining against him? Who could try as hardest to neutralize the wrestling game or has that knockout power to, get a puncher's chance like Ilya. But Ilya has some ground game. There's not really that well-rounded of a fighter in the welterweight division. They're all kind of specialists. You have the Sean Brady with the wrestling, but he'd get clapped on the fucking striking against Islam. Because Islam's boxing is underrated. He has top 10 boxing in the UFC, Islam. You got Carlos Prates, who would get fucking shredded on the ground. Ian Gary took him and smudged him when they fought. And Ian Gary isn't this world beater on the ground either. Ian Gary, another one, who he would make it close, but it would not be entertaining at all. Ian Gary is not the most entertaining fighter. He talks like he is, but if you're talking strictly entertainment against Islam, to me, it's a tie between Usman and Morales, simply for the fact that Usman he is the closest thing to potentially neutralizing Islam on the ground with his wrestling, and then having a little bit of striking puncher's chance, because Usman's boxing is obviously not the worst. It's not his strongest, and we really haven't seen Usman utilize his boxing as he's gotten older. He fought the Buckley, which he went straight to the ground game. Buckley couldn't defend a takedown. He fought Hamzat before that. People say arguably Usman beat Hamzat in that fight. It was a very close fight, but it wasn't a striking fight. We haven't seen Usman in the last few fights utilize his striking. He looked like shit against Leon Edwards when they last fought. Was it Leon Usman 2? or 3, I mean. So Usman really hasn't shown his striking since the first fucking or the second is Leon fight. Jesus Christ, since Leon Usman 2, because I'm forgetting they fought 3 fucking times. Regardless, I think Usman's striking could potentially negate or match Islam's, which is kind of crazy. But he also could match him on the ground. So, like, it would be entertaining the fact that, like, Usman is the best to neutralize Islam. And I know they're pushing for that fight, which Usman still needs one more. It's fucking bullshit that they're even entertaining this idea. But for a pure entertainment standpoint, it would probably be Usman, Islam, or it would be Michael Morales and Islam. Simply for the fact that Morales is an absolute fucking mutant, and he has that puncher's chance. Obviously, like Prates has the puncher's chance. Anyone obviously has a puncher's chance. But for someone who's like 6'4", who should be in the middleweight division, Morales should be in the middleweight division. So it would be interesting seeing Islam fight someone who is just that much bigger than him, who has the crazy reach, who you never know. Like, it would be entertaining seeing how he would try to take Morales down. Maybe I'm overrating Morales' size a little bit. But Morales would, if anyone could put his lights out due to sheer size, like I said, I know Prates could, but I think Prates is obviously a lot smaller than Morales. And I think Islam would have a lot easier time taking Prates to the ground. And I think Morales could keep it standing for just enough to make it entertaining and make it a scrap on the feet until Islam potentially takes him down. So it's between Usman and Morales against Islam. It's like, who is entertaining in that division? It's not going to be Bilal. JDM, we thought could have been entertaining, but he got smudged. RIP JDM. And a division full of entertaining, full of killers. You just have the fucking guy. You have the guy, Islam. Because if it wasn't Islam, it would be a rotating door of champions. But you have someone so dominant that it's hard to match him up in an entertaining style of fight. Islam is an entertaining fighter. That's the thing. Islam is also an entertaining fighter. People who think he's just a smudger, who's a lay and pray, he goes for submissions. That's the thing. The JDM fight was super boring because JDM had such good defense. He could neutralize the submission attempts from Islam. Islam was going for submissions. Islam has submissions back to back to back on his record. He submitted Charles Oliveira. He submitted Dustin Poirier. Okay? Like, Islam is a really good fighter. He's an entertaining fighter. Just because he uses the ground game to be entertaining doesn't make him any less of an entertaining fighter than someone that's a striker. Okay? So we got to get that out of the window. But it's so hard to find someone with an entertaining matchup or style to match him because he's just that dominant on the ground. Moving on to the middleweight division. This is another one, that could be potentially tricky simply for the fact that Hamzat is so fucking dominant and so, it's just ridiculous how flat out good he is. Like, you saw, obviously everyone saw the fight against DDP. Put him in the crucifix for 3 fucking rounds. There was nothing DDP could do. DDP had 2 significant strikes heading into the 5th round. Like, he was so fucking dominant just holding DDP on the ground that the refs stood him up. Like, it's just crazy how fucking good Hamzat's wrestling is. So if you're looking in the division for someone who's going to make it entertaining against Hamzat, it's either going to be Sean Strickland, which I don't see. I really don't know. It's going to be the winner of Sean Strickland versus Fluffy. I rolled with Fluffy. I'm going to say Fluffy for this because of his cardio, because he has the dogfight in him. He cardio mogs people, and he has the ground game. I don't know if he has the ground game against someone like Hamzat. I don't know if anyone does, but he has the striking abilities as well. I think if anyone's going to bring it into a dogfight, he could make it interesting. He could scramble with Hamzat. If Strickland gets taken to the fucking ground, he's not making it this entertaining scramble fest, or he's not trying to do submissions from his back. Fluffy will. Fluffy will try something, and Fluffy has the cardio to do it or match someone like Hamzat, who Hamzat's cardio has been taken into question from time to time. If it's strictly standing up, Strickland potentially, but Strickland's just not an entertaining fighter. He's got this. The thing is, why people think Strickland has this chance against Hamzat is because Strickland's defense is so good, but he's not this entertaining fighter. He talks like he is. I'm sick of it. The fucking Strickland is just not an entertaining fighter. He had one of the worst, if not the worst, main event in a numbered card last year against DDP2. Like, that was atrocious. And if you're going to match him up against someone like Hamzat, who can just hold him on the fucking ground, I don't care. I think someone like Fluffy, who will try for submissions, who has a stand-up, who has the cardio, who will not stop fighting. Fluffy is one of the most entertaining fighters in the UFC, and you pit that against Hamzat, it will be interesting. So I'm really rooting for Fluffy to beat fucking Sean Strickland. And after the Imavov Hamzat fight, you obviously have to make the Fluffy versus Hamzat fight. And if Fluffy loses the Hamzat, the rest of the division is absolutely fucked. Like, if Fluffy can't do it, nobody can beat Hamzat. And he's just holding on to this belt until he vacates or retires. Like, it's so, if anyone's going to make it entertaining against Hamzat in this division without anyone moving up or down, it's going to be Fluffy Hernandez. Moving on to the lightweight division. This is a sleeper. Hey, stay with me now. That's the thing. Stay with me. Obviously, Yuri is probably the most entertaining fighter in the UFC. We've saw Yuri in Pereira twice. And I don't think Pereira has many fights left at light heavyweight, so I just obviously don't see this happening, this fight. But if you were to ask me right now, what is the most entertaining fight or fighter you could put against Pereira in the lightweight division? Dude, it's Ong. It's got to be Azamat Murzakanov. He's someone who will just stand and fucking bang. This little short fucking blob will just stand and bang with Pereira. And either he's going to get a puncher's chance and knock Pereira the fuck out, because that's what he does. That is what Azamat does. He knocks people the fuck out. So, or you get Pereira just absolutely mogging him with the size and knocks him out. So, it's just going to be a stand and bang war. Two complete knockout artists. Azamat, obviously not the biggest name. He has a better puncher's chance than Yuri, which is kind of crazy. It's just, Yuri has the wild style. He has the escapability. He has some ground game. Azamat will just stand in the fucking pocket and let it rip. As will Pereira. So you have two guys standing there, standing and banging until someone gets knocked the fuck out. Azamat is a very underrated fighter. Like, obviously no one's sitting there like, I want Azamat Murzakanov to be the fucking champion. Like, he just doesn't have the personality. And who knows, we haven't really seen him fight high level in the division. Obviously, he knocked out Alexander Rakic, and he's now fighting Paulo Costa, which it just makes zero sense. Like, what does that do for him in the lightweight division? What does that prove? I don't know. And so if he knocks out Paulo Costa, that'll just be like, okay, put this dude against fucking Ankalaev. He can do his thing. But if you're going to make strictly entertainment, okay, we saw Khalil Roundtree almost beat Pereira. That was also very entertaining. But Roundtree just doesn't have the knockout power like that. He has the crazy physique, which I think people look at, and it overrates how much knockout power he has. Or like, it overrates his fighting style. You look at Azamat. Dude, he's literally, go look at his last few wins, or last 5 wins. They're all fucking knockout or TKOs. Obviously, Pereira's all knockouts and TKOs as well. So, you're putting two guys that will stand and fucking bang. It's got to be them two. Even though that is such a grimy. That's probably the grimiest matchup that you can make in any of these fights that I'm making. Because literally, who the fuck is sitting here being like, I want Azamat Murzakanov fighting for the belt? Absolutely fucking nobody. I'll answer that for you. But fighting styles, it would be entertaining, okay? Last but not least, we got the heavyweight division. A division that is just absolutely fucking dog shit. So, you can go down the list. Who would make it entertaining for Tom Aspinall? Ciryl is probably the closest skill-wise. But get him the fuck out of here. Ciryl is not entertaining. I don't give a fuck. Ciryl is not entertaining at all. All right? If you're going strictly entertainment against Tom Aspinall, I was thinking about Sergey Pavlovich again. But Sergey's kind of got he's kind of changed his game to less of a slug fighter. And he's a lot more slow-paced, slow output, more meticulous. When him and Aspinall first fought, he was knocking people out left and right. Like, he was, the number 1 or 2 ranked guy in the division, Pavlovich. So, he was just on an absolute fucking tear of knocking motherfuckers out. But he has evolved his game since he lost to Volkov. But if there's one guy I'm putting against Tom Aspinall to make it entertaining, right now, in the current state of the heavyweight division, it's got to be the fucking Pirate. Waldo Cortez Acosta, man. This dude is going in there, short notice, fucking whooping people's ass, whooping these blobs' ass, knocking them out. Knocked out big-ass Derek Lewis. Knocked out fucking Shamil Gaziev. Like, he is making entertaining. He has the entertaining fight style. He has the one-punch knockout power. Tom Aspinall could use the ground game, but at a point where Aspinall's ground game, the idea of it, I think, is better than what he actually shows. Like, obviously, he's really good, but I think people will be like, he's going to utilize it a lot more, which he really doesn't utilize it as much as people kind of rate him as. It's just he's in the heavyweight division, which is so shallow. So he just has that over people. But I think it would be a stand-up fight against Cortez Acosta. And I think Acosta could fucking do it, which is crazy. And they have the fucking beef. Like, Acosta is calling out Aspinall. They have this. Acosta has this low beef against Aspinall, which is hilarious. Obviously, Aspinall could just starch the dude, but he has sus defense. Aspinall has the sus defense where he keeps his hands down, and I think Acosta could do it, which is crazy. Aspinall is one of my favorite fighters. I think at a point, Aspinall was underrated, and he is still probably one of the most underrated fighters in UFC history, which is crazy. But I really think Acosta could fucking do it. And Acosta is becoming one of my favorite fighters. He was this blob where it's like, oh my God, like what? Once again, what is the heavyweight division? But Acosta is coming in there, short notice, wanting to fight every other fucking month and putting dudes on their ass. Okay? So, like I said, you go down the heavyweight division, it's fucking garbage. So if anyone's going to take it to Aspinall, I really think Acosta could do it. And it would be so fun. The buildup would be so much fucking fun. Acosta is a troll. He's got the memes. He's got the knockout power. He has that it factor. So those are my most entertaining fights you could probably make in the UFC with the current champions. If you have any other suggestions, anything you'd change, different fights you'd make, let me know. And if you made it to this far, to the end of the video, thank you. I love you.